So lately I've gone headlong into the Berserk fandom and haven't been able to move on from it since it's been such a wild ride. There are plenty of reasons why I went and reread Berserk for a second time. One was because the last time I'd read it I was too hooked up on the visuals, fights, and the sheer majesty of the artwork that I wasn't able to fully concentrate or appreciate the story and the lore associated with it. To give you an example of how fast I read it, I did not know this guy's name, Daiba. Effin' Daiba. I did not know the name of the right hand of a man who became the catalyst for Griffith's perfect world. Also, he plays a major role in the series and I feel ashamed for not knowing his name. Since reading it for a second time though, I've been going deep into the theories and speculations and I feel that it's time that I came up with one theory of my own. It's kind of a weird theory, but I feel that Guts is the one that will bring true light into the world. Okay, so as I'm making this video, Guts is at the lowest point of his life with the release of chapter 375, and Griffith is just flying high above the skies. He's achieved his dream and is now planning to soar even higher as the Hawk of the perfect world. As Berserk fans, we all know that this won't continue for very long and Griffith will have to lose in one form or another for Berserk to reach a proper conclusion. A lot of people say that the Moonlight Boy will bring about the destruction of Griffith's empire. Sure enough, that could be the case. Another theory states that the joint forces of the Cushion, the Bakiraka, and Rickert will bring about the fall of Griffith's empire, and I agree with that because that can prove to be the case as well. Hell, both of these theories might come true at the same time. But here's where Guts comes in. We all know where the Berserker armor shtick has gotten Guts so far. Stressed out, with graying hair, coupled with a loss of taste. It's taken him and bruised him both mentally and physically. In the long run, the Berserker armor is more of a fork in the road rather than an upgrade. He would either have to let go of the armor entirely or have to take measures to ensure full control over the darkness that comes with wearing it. We know the former is impossible since the armor is an important piece of the entire Berserk lore, so the latter option makes a lot more sense. As we speak, Guts is now in a state of transit. He has finally given up on fighting Griffith, or even doing anything for that matter. It's the lowest point in his life, but knowing what we know about Guts, he will bounce back stronger than ever, but this time it would be a bit different. Rather than being the Avenger that he is, we can see a Guts that is less aggressive and less intense and most important of all, less demonic. Another point of importance is him donning the black Berserker armor in a way that it grants him full control over its abilities. Perhaps the change would have him control over the darkness. I might have to take a bit of a tangent here, but seeing as how Casca's damaged psyche was a primary factor in Guts losing himself to the Berserker armor, I feel that regaining control of it would be much easier now considering that Casca is now back to normal. Though she's taken hostage by Griffith, she remembers everything that he did and wants to return back to Guts as soon as possible. This thing might just as well prove to keep Guts grounded and prevent him from losing himself to the armor. Now once Guts takes control of everything and is ready to face the might of Griffith yet again, it will cause an interesting parallel to form. Griffith's condition, as of now, is the Prince of Darkness disguised as the Hawk of Light, while Guts would be the Carrier of Light, disguised as the Prince of Darkness. This parallel is already shown in the best of ways when Slan compliments Femto's actions during the eclipse, calling it a thing of beauty and Guts' reaction and anger as completely demonic. The world that Griffith has created now is a world of darkness exposed as a world of light. Seeing as how letting go of hate and not letting anger consume you are two primary themes in Berserk, we can very well see a Guts that embodies light and expose Femto for who he is. So I feel that in order to defeat Griffith or expose him in some way, he would have to embody darkness to become the light since a parallel is already at play here. Make what you want about this parallel, but I feel his role in the series would resemble somewhat of a second coming of Christ, albeit with a bit of a dark twist where he comes in and defeats the Antichrist or exposes his lies in one form or another. So yeah folks, that's my 2 cents on the current state of Berserk and what might possibly happen. Again, this is just an opinion piece and things could go topsy-turvy really quickly because it is the Berserk universe. The main question here is that, does this sit well with the overall vibe of Guts? Maybe, maybe not. But it's an interesting discussion in the kind of role Guts will play post-reformation and recovery. In the rephrased words of Skull Knight, our wishes might not be the wishes of Guts. Maybe the Casca rescue mission might be Guts not even moving a finger, but that's a bit of a stretch. So yeah, if you liked the video, then do subscribe. Thanks for watching. Chapter 375 of the Berserk manga was a real doozy of a chapter without a doubt. We got to see the story of Berserk unfold in a manner that is very different from the Berserk that we are used to seeing. There was Guts' depression, the invasion of Roderick's ship by the Cushion Navy, Isidro's anger at Guts for not moving a muscle when he's tied up in chains by the Cushion, and the prophecies of Daiba. There's literally so much to unpack in the chapter and I'll continue to provide more analysis on this until a new chapter comes out. Who knows, some of my points might connect with the overarching story. But if there is one person that deserves a discussion in this video, it's Rickert and his part in the whole Cushion invasion and seeing Guts' condition. Suffice it to say that when we last saw him, he gave Griffith the old bitch slap and left Falconia with Silat, the Bakiraka, and Daiba. That was all we heard of him. A lot of people at that time had said that with Miura's passing, Rickert won't have much time to shine or even have an appearance in the manga. Of course, such a prediction makes sense because fans were skeptical of Uriogaga and Koji Mori. But we were wrong. Not only did Rickert come back, he came back with a bang. From the looks of it all, he has somewhat of an important position with the Kushan army owing to his use of explosives and goddamn bazookas. Moreover, his understanding of the astral world, Griffith, Guts, and to a certain degree Causality gives him a superior edge since he can use them both to interact and provide intelligence and information to Silat and Daiba, two key players in the East. What I'm assuming is that the offensive that these guys are planning might hurt Griffith where it hurts the most. We cannot underestimate the impact that these Kushans would have on the overall story. Out of everything that was happening in that chapter, there were two things that stood out the most. The first one was, of course, Rickert being a total Chad and telling Roderick that we're taking your vessel. I mean, can you imagine the amount of bluntness on this man? Not only does he have the pimp hand that slapped the shit out of a literal living god, he's also a mouthy one if I do say so myself. He wasted no time, didn't care if the man in front of him was friend or foe, and didn't care for his ethnicity. All he said was a simple, "We're taking your vessel," and didn't flinch once saying that. I tell you man, Rickert is a literal legend. I mean, besides the eclipse, he's a man who's experienced the world that Griffith managed to create from the very beginning. Though he's been on the sidelines, he, along with Erica, have managed to survive this long because of their ingenuity and intelligence. But now, he's come back from the sidelines stronger than ever, having pimp slapped Griffith and now forming a plot to overthrow him. He's grown up enough to tell a man way older than him that, hey, we're seizing your vessel and there's nothing you can do about it. The second interesting part about Rickert is at the very end where Rickert is looking at Guts while he's passed out. The interesting detail to note with this is the fact that Puck is sitting on top of Guts and looking at Rickert curiously. So technically both Puck and Rickert are looking at one another while Guts is in the foreground passed out. It gets interesting when you consider the history between the two. Rickert, for who don't know, has been part of Causality since day one, even though he wasn't fated to die in the eclipse. His role in the grand scheme of Causality was different. During the eclipse, we see Rickert outside the vortex. He didn't arrive there on accident. He arrived there while traveling with a circus troupe who rescued him after he witnessed the atrocities committed by the Count and Rosine before the eclipse. This was the same circus troupe that Puck was a member of. The troupe leader incidentally gave Rickert Puck's fairy dust that he used to revive the wounds of Casca and Guts after Skull Knight saved them from the eclipse. It's not a coincidence that Rickert was dropped off at just exactly the place where the eclipse was taking place. It was, again, Causality at play. Though this moment was Rickert's first interaction with Puck, Rickert was too horrified to see Puck up close partly because of Rosine and what she did to his comrades. The only difference between Rosine and Puck is size and the level of malice inside of them. Otherwise, they're technically both elves. Rickert receiving the fairy dust from the troupe, which I'm 90% sure was Puck's, wasn't a coincidence either. It was bound to happen. Or, as Void would say it, all lies within the current of Causality. Another important side note here is that Judeo was actually a part of that same troupe before he became a member of the Band of the Hawk. He used fairy dust to heal Casca's wounds at one point during the Golden Age arc. Post-Golden Age, in the Conviction arc, we see a handful of good conversations between Puck and Rickert about the condition of Guts after the eclipse. Again, all of this is not conjecture, it's all in the manga for people to read. The tie that connects Puck and Rickert is Guts. And is this reason why the scene is so powerful? Both of these individuals have seen Guts at the lowest point of his life, have seen him navigate through his demons and fight against them. Hell, Puck even managed to see a sad Guts ready to cry during the Black Swordsman arc. God damn it, thinking about that scene makes me realize how important the Black Swordsman arc truly was. So technically both are connected through both Guts and Causality, and seeing them look at one another should put a shiver in your spine. The scene is small, but it showcases the mutual worry of both the characters and seeing their friend be in such an unbelievable state. Both of them have seen the kind of struggler that Guts is, and seeing him in this sorry state is enough of a concern for them. Another side note here is that Guts once told Rickert that he could never truly come to hate Griffith. Maybe Guts' condition right now might prove to be enough of a catalyst to make Rickert hate Griffith. All in all, I feel that Rickert's story progression, while few and far in between, nonetheless have turned him into a very skilled individual and a good leader of men. His appearances throughout the manga truly emphasize the quality over quantity approach that Kentaro Miura is famous for. If you like this video, please subscribe and thanks for watching.
What do we know of Guts so far? That he's a guy who's willing to go to any lengths and risk everything for the pursuit of the man who took everything away from him, right? That he's the kind of man who was born from the dregs of the dregs, and the moment he found some semblance of camaraderie, some level of warmth within his heart in his cruel and unforgiving world, a man named Griffith came along and took everything away from him. Not only that, the man also branded Guts with a curse which made him and his beloved Casca the target of demonic apostles. They came at him in all shapes and sizes. Some were kind of hot, some were really weird, phallic kind of individuals, and some were downright sinister, evil, and might even be the main villain controlling everything from the sidelines. I can assure you on that, I swear. But regardless of that one schnoz joke that I copied from real life Ryan, Guts continued to keep on moving forward. Even with the brand, he was able to go above and beyond his abilities, challenging and winning against anyone and everyone that dared threaten him or Casca. He went up against a mad zealot priest who wanted to instill the word of God in people through brute force if necessary. He then took on a former warrior turned dinosaur apostle, a truly formidable opponent if you ask me. Then he took on a magical wizard man, and finally he ended up fighting the silhouette of a man who was the impetus for a new awakening of the world. Though he had some help from an enemy, it didn't matter. Of course, the fight that I'm talking about is Guts versus Misty Ganishka. This whole description of Guts' fights just touched the surface of the kind of man that he is. I could go on for hours fangirling over Guts and the many fights that he's been in, but if there's one certainty with Guts, it's that he's a fighter, a warrior, and a struggler who, even when the chips are down, finds a way to get back up and fight the good fight. But our certainties in that very fact have changed. They've taken a total 180 and have made fans question, in fact, the entire persona of Guts throughout the series. Chapter 375 of the Berserk manga shows a Guts that is broken in every sense of the word. Besides his hulkish frame, he's not the man whom we saw killing apostles like they were nothing but ants. Here was a man who's lost purpose in life and does not know what to do. When the Kushan Navy chained him up, we don't see him react in any way, shape or form. He's just standing there, bound in chains. The Guts we knew would have killed each and every Kushan who wanted to have him bound. Not only would he have done that, but he also would have shrunk the entire Kushan Navy that had the audacity to come near Roderick's ship. But here's the thing, to the viewers, and I'm sure there are so few of them, who read Berserk just to see Guts taking down enemies one by one, this might have been a disappointing turn of events. Like Guts, they've lost all purpose in reading the manga now. But for the fans who read Berserk for the story, they would know that this is actually a good thing. For this full disclosure, I feel good that things have transpired in such a manner. Guts getting defeated by Griffith a second time works well on two levels. First off, it gives Guts time to relax. Now hear me out. Ever since the eclipse, have you ever seen Guts relax for even a minute? He's always on edge and has been struggling to make sure that he's somehow able to reverse the damage that Casca had endured at the hands of Griffith. He's taken up that responsibility and has also made sure that he has her protected in every manner possible. Since the Conviction arc, he's made Casca his top priority, and because of his dedication, he's found people who want to help him take care of Casca. A primary example being Farnese. He's even donned the physically and mentally taxing Berserker armor, all for the sake of protecting people close to him, not just Casca. But again, she's still priority number one. Using that armor and the stress that it carried with it has even caused his hair to turn grey. Guts has very well atoned for the escapism that was prevalent within him during the Black Swordsman arc, owing to his actions during every other arc that came after it till the present one. Though he might not explicitly show it, Guts has been completely selfless in his goals. While the yearning for revenge is sort of a selfish act, the quest to restore Casca's sanity is indeed a selfless act. It's an act of love. While sacrificing himself to the Berserker armor, Guts has also inadvertently made Farnese, Shirake, Serpico, and Isitro stronger. He's prepared them well for the dark world that Griffith has managed to create. As for Casca, Guts' sacrifices have finally bore fruit. Casca, as the story goes, is now as sane as ever. Though a little weaker than before, she knows her surroundings and the effort that Guts has put in for her. It's for that reason that we see her trying to escape Falconia the moment she gains consciousness from her state of confusion and haziness. Being the woman that she is, I believe that it's now time for Casca to take in the reins and make sure to return the effort that Guts has put in for her. I don't mean to say this in a tit-for-tat or an IOU kind of manner. I mean it to imply the natural course of things as they are. As for Guts, his job is now finished. For all this time, he's been alone in carrying the burdens on himself, and in my opinion needed this much-needed breather. Should it have come in a better manner? Of course it should have, but it would betray the kind of story that is Berserk. The second level that this works on is that it gives Guts time to think and reflect. This is in tune with the experiences that Thorfinn went through after Askeladd's death. He'd put so much effort into revenge that it became his life's purpose. When it didn't exist, his life lost all purpose and direction. He ultimately became a depressed farmer. As of this writing, Guts' world is shattered beyond belief and with no purpose or direction. He now needs to find a way to get out of the rut and come out of the other end as a better person and human being. That is Guts' only saving grace as of this point and might possibly end up making him strong enough to take on Griffith. I'm sure many of you in the comments would add a better swing on both of these opinion pieces. In the latter case, I can say for certainty that Guts, for the first time in his life, is not alone. He has members who are strong in their own way, and it's their efforts that would pull Guts out of this depressive hellhole.
Sure enough, Shirke, Isidro, Farnese, and most of all Serpico were already strong before, but now they would have to up the ante to bring Guts back to his normal, or perhaps, new self. Only time will tell how Guts' journey would unfold, but it is an interesting turn of events. If you liked the video, then do subscribe. Thanks for watching.